Let's get back to our correspondent, Michael Baleke. Hopefully you can hear me now. Michael, it's good to have you with us. He's joining us from Kampala in Uganda. So, Michael, talk to us about the fact that we hear that Samia Suluhu Hassan has officially been confirmed as the landslide winner of the past elections. But what is the latest from what you're hearing as to what's currently happening on the ground?
Hi, Alicia. Yeah, well, yes, Tanzania's incumbent President Samia Suluhu Hassan has received, indeed, her certificate of victory from the Independent Electoral Commission. And, of course, this follows, of course, her win of the Wednesday election, which she has won by nearly 98%. You know,
she won by 98%. These are Soviet-style economics. This is what Kwame Nkrumah brought to Africa. You know, even though he did some good things for independence, he sold socialism and unilateral control of political parties in Africa. And these are the ones that are setting us back because they've become a police state. And Tanzania is a very beautiful country, but if it's not looking like Kenya, all they're gonna do is set us back as a collective, you know? And the Gen Z guys are fighting back. I don't know how this is gonna play out, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's a coup d'etat. Yeah, and that's not very common in English Africa, but you know, it's getting to the point where the woman has to be stopped. I mean, 98%, that's a joke, really.
Sweeping the 32 million vote ballots cast on that day. Well, to tell you, the international observers and mainly the opposition, most of the opposition politicians, have expressed concern about this result because it lacks transparency, they say, and because of the widespread turmoil that happened after the election happened. We have heard of hundreds of people killed and hundreds more injured. The opposition claim 700 people were killed, and the government, of course, has denied these claims. And, of course, the international, of course, the internet is down, so we cannot verify these claims of the death toll. The government has sought to play this down, you know, the scale of violence, saying that nothing, they are in charge and they're in control. Of course, authorities have extended a curfew within the country. And while we saw some protests on Friday, on Saturday, after the announcement, while the situation remains tense, it has largely been quiet, tense but quiet across much of Tanzania.
Mm-hmm. And Michael, what have the election observers said? Because the last time we spoke to, I think around Thursday, they hadn't given out a statement, issued a statement. Have they now declared officially these elections as being both free and fair? And also, what can you tell us also about the current plans by the excluded opposition, as well as their supporters, to go ahead and nullify the results and call for a fresh round of elections?
Well, of course, the election observers came out saying that, well, they tried in the first hours of Wednesday. They went to observe the elections start, and afterwards, when turmoil broke out, you know, everyone went back. They all went back to their hotels. So and the internet was shut down, and they couldn't, you know, properly go and observe what was happening on the ground because of the skirmishes and the protesters on the streets. Well, the government says that has shut that down, saying that, well, they offered the observers the different communication tools so that they can observe the elections. We have heard that at certain polling stations, even at the places where the provisional results were read, some of the observers were not allowed to go there because of their safety. So the observers say this was more of a sham election. They have not come out clearly. We have seen the South Africans, of course, saying, the South African delegation saying that, well, they observed, but they did not observe enough because they did not have communication, and they
How do you observe and not observe enough? I mean, this was a sham election. Shouldn't have happened at all. And why did they even hold an election if you're gonna win by 98%? There are more people protesting than the 98% that she won by. So it's not like they're not even hiding this stuff. These guys are just really putting it in their faces. And for the last report that I got, that protesters have taken over the airport. I think some guys in the military will switch sides, and these behaviors show a lot of instability in Africa, and there are other countries that are watching. If she gets away with this, some other countries will try to do the same, and but we have a lot of countries that have done it the right way. I mean, South Africa does it right. Malawi just did it right. Zambia does it right. Ghana has historically done it right. So there's a lot of positive elections that have been held on the continent. But you'll always have little pockets of coup d'etat. And this is all fueled by greed. These countries have vast resources, lithium, parts of Tanzania is also starting to have a lot of exploration in lithium and oil and gas. So all this is a competition for resources. A lot of it is foreign influence, right? Like you have people like Oshe in Uganda being CIA agents and saying things on the continent to make us look bad so that he can sow division and do the work of the CIA.
They had reservations and they were waiting for the head of the international observers to give a statement. But largely, of course, the opposition teams are saying that they're going to call for further demonstrations. They thought that once there was an announcement today, people will come en masse onto the streets. But it looks like there was some kind of fear with the opposition saying that there are groups of people moving in cars that are, that are non-Tanzanian. They actually said these were mercenaries who were shooting people dead on the streets, and they claimed. This is a claim that we cannot verify, but one of the opposition leaders said there were Ugandan security officials who had come and they were hired as mercenaries to kill because they believe.
Yeah, so, and I think Museveni is also propping her up. So this is, I'll call it the African axis of evil. These are the last. This is why I've always said, like, East Africa has been the hardest part for the CIA to crack. And I'm not surprised that all these CIA-like events are happening in East Africa with Go Black to Africa and O'Shea. All these guys are playing the role of the massa. He says they need Larry Elders. Yeah, they need people, but they don't like, they don't like people like Larry, Anton Daniels. The guys that speak the truth, they don't like them,